with all y'all.
Oh, she going to town.
Black Parmesan.
Tammy later revealed that much of her anger wasn't just spontaneous outbursts. It was carefully engineered by the show's production team. She described how the crew would purposely delay meals, keep her waiting for long periods before appointments, or intentionally create uncomfortable situations, knowing exactly how it would affect her emotionally. The insider account suggests that producers deliberately triggered Tammy's frustration to capture explosive on-camera moments, because those moments translated directly into viral clips, high ratings, and endless social media chatter. Tammy's outbursts were not just random behavior, they were the result of an environment designed to push her to her breaking point. They knew exactly what they were doing, an insider said, and they needed her to snap because that's what made the show addictive. Her meltdowns became key plot lines, highlighted in promos, replayed in previews, and endlessly circulated on TikTok and YouTube as the show's most dramatic moments. This wasn't reality. It was a carefully constructed drama where Tammy's pain became entertainment. For Amy, the pain was different, but just as deep. She was devastated to see herself portrayed as an overwhelmed, unstable woman, when in reality, she was trying to hold everything together under immense pressure. The show deliberately exaggerated moments that made her look like she couldn't handle her responsibilities as a mother. Producers would film scenes in messy environments, highlight moments of exhaustion, or push her into situations where she was forced to deal with her children and family issues on camera. All of this was amplified in editing, painting her as someone struggling to manage basic tasks. She reportedly told friends that she often cried after filming Wrapped, terrified that one day her children would grow up and see the distorted version of their mother that millions of viewers were consuming. Amy and Tammy both felt betrayed, not only by the way their lives were edited, but also by the fact that they had so little control over how they were represented. By the end of season 7, the $50,000 payment dispute became the last straw. Both sisters were tired of feeling exploited. They had endured years of emotional manipulation, humiliation, and financial disputes. But when TLC allegedly told them that their contracts legally forbade them from walking away, it transformed from frustration into a fight for their dignity. For Amy, motherhood was the center of her world. Since giving birth to her sons, Gage and Glenn, she had tried to balance her personal life with the demanding, invasive schedule of reality TV production. But TLC didn't see her children as people. They saw them as content. According to people close to the production, producers pushed to film during private moments like diaper changes, midnight feedings, or emotional arguments between Amy and her then-husband, Michael. Amy reportedly begged for more privacy, pleading with producers to give her space to protect her kids. But TLC pushed back, saying the struggles of a single mother were exactly what viewers wanted. Her exhaustion, her messy house, her fights with Michael, these were gold for ratings. Amy felt cornered, realizing that she had lost control not only of her public image, but also of her private life. When the $50,000 payment was withheld, she saw it not just as a financial betrayal, but as proof that TLC didn't value her sacrifices. If they won't even pay us for what we've already done, why should I give them my family's future? She reportedly said to friends. Tammy, meanwhile, was fighting for something different, her dignity. She had been portrayed as the villain of the show for years. Viewers criticized her temper, mocked her stubbornness, and ridiculed her for not losing weight fast enough. But behind the scenes, Tammy claimed that producers actually sabotaged her progress to keep her locked into that narrative. According to multiple insiders, producers would encourage unhealthy behaviors, sometimes providing junk food or discouraging workouts, because Tammy's failure made better television. They didn't want a redemption arc. They wanted chaos, struggle, and anger. One insider revealed they wanted her to fail. That was the plot. If she got healthy too fast, they'd lose their storyline. Tammy had expected season 8 to finally be different. She had undergone bariatric surgery, experienced a dramatic weight loss transformation, and was ready to show the world a new version of herself. But instead of celebrating her progress, she claimed TLC was already promoting new narratives that painted her as unstable and dependent. That betrayal, combined with the financial dispute, reportedly pushed her to refuse filming altogether. The situation with TLC isn't unique. Over the years, multiple former stars from other shows like Sister Wives, 90 Day Fiancé, and John and Kate Plus 8 have accused the network of exploitative contracts, low pay, and manipulative production tactics. Many of these stars signed contracts at a time when they had little bargaining power, drawn in by the promise of fame and financial stability. But once they were locked in, it became extremely difficult to leave. TLC is known in the industry for ironclad agreements, NDAs, and financial penalties for any star who tries to walk away. This pattern of control isn't an accident. It's a deliberate structure that ensures the network always holds the power. For Amy and Tammy, the $50,000 payment dispute and forced filming obligations weren't isolated incidents. They were symptoms of a larger system that treated them like disposable commodities rather than human beings with lives and families. Fans quickly picked up on this. Social media platforms became battlegrounds. TikTok users began posting old clips of Amy and Tammy crying on camera, pointing out how the network had profited from their pain. YouTube commentators began describing the lawsuit as the beginning of the end for the show. Hashtags like Nonder Pay the Slaytons and Justice for Amy and Tammy began trending as viewers rallied behind the sisters. Some fans began threatening to boycott TLC entirely, stating they would cancel their subscriptions to Discovery Plus if the network didn't pay the sisters what they were owed. Others encouraged Amy and Tammy to start their own platform, either on YouTube, where they could control their own content, or to sign a new deal with a streaming giant like Netflix or Hulu. Many fans argued that without TLC controlling their narrative, the sisters could thrive and share their story in a more authentic, dignified way. Of course, not everyone sided with them. Some critics accused the sisters of being ungrateful, pointing out that TLC paid for surgeries, medical bills, and other costs that helped save Tammy's life. Others argued that without TLC, the sisters wouldn't have become famous in the first place. "They're biting the hand that feeds them," one commenter wrote online. But the loudest voices seem to be those who support the sisters. They see two women who gave years of their lives to a show that made millions off their suffering, only to be left fighting for fair pay and fair treatment. This growing wave of support could be devastating for TLC's image. Public opinion is a powerful force, and if it continues to shift in Amy and Tammy's favor, the network may find itself facing not just a lawsuit, but a PR disaster. If Amy and Tammy prevail in court, the consequences for TLC could be enormous. The lawsuit could expose previously hidden details about how much reality stars actually earn, how contracts are written to favor the network, and how producers manipulate storylines to maximize drama. This isn't just a financial battle, it's a potential shift in power. For years, networks like TLC have held all the control, deciding how their stars look, sound, and live in the public eye. But now, the stars themselves have more options. With social media, streaming platforms, and loyal fan bases, they no longer need traditional networks to stay relevant. If the sisters win or even reach a favorable settlement, other reality stars may follow their lead, filing their own lawsuits and demanding better treatment. TLC is reportedly refusing to back down easily. The network is said to be digging in its heels, determined to make an example out of Amy and Tammy. But this is a risky move. The more the case drags on, the more the network's internal practices are likely to come under scrutiny. Court proceedings could reveal uncomfortable truths about how TLC treats its cast members, potentially opening the floodgates to more lawsuits from other stars. If TLC loses this case, it could set a legal precedent that forces the network to rewrite its contracts, pay its stars more fairly, and allow them more creative control over their narratives. The future of the show itself is uncertain. Without Amy and Tammy, 1000 Delby Sisters would lose its heart. TLC might try to pivot the show to focus on other family members like Chris or Amanda, but fans would likely reject that version. The Slayton sisters are the franchise. They are the reason viewers tune in. If the lawsuit escalates and the sisters walk away, the show could collapse entirely. On the other hand, if the sisters win or settle, they may return under a new deal, one that gives them more power over their story and significantly higher pay. There's even speculation among entertainment insiders that a streaming platform like Netflix might offer the sisters a fresh start with a new show that gives them full control over their image and narrative. This lawsuit isn't just about money. It's about justice, dignity, and control over their own lives. Amy wants to protect her children's future, ensuring that they won't have to grow up watching a distorted version of their family. Tammy wants to reclaim her reputation after years of being portrayed as the villain. Together, they are challenging on Chris Comas, long regarded as a steadfast and essential figure on 1000 Delb Sisters, suddenly found himself at the center of a controversy that shook both fans and the reality television industry to its core. revealing a hidden layer of tension and exploitation that had quietly existed behind the cameras for years. As the loyal brother of Amy and Tammy Slayton, he had become the linchpin of the family's public persona, a figure whose humor, honesty, and steadfastness provided balance amidst the chaos, turmoil, and dramatic personal struggles of the Sledden sisters, whose own lives had become a magnet for both viewers and media attention. And while Amy and Tammy often captured headlines with their emotional outbursts, health crises, and personal challenges, it was Chris who maintained the stability of the household, managing conflicts, mediating disputes, supporting his sisters emotionally, and even providing comic relief at moments when the tension threatened to overwhelm the narrative. And yet, despite his pivotal role in the show's success and his contributions that went far beyond what most cast members would be expected to give, Chris alleged that TLC had been systematically withholding a portion of his pay, exploiting his dedication and his central role in driving the series' popularity, leveraging his presence to boost ratings while simultaneously undercompensating him for the work, the time, and the emotional labor he had invested. A claim that sent shockwaves through the fan base and raised uncomfortable questions about the treatment of reality television stars more broadly, as audiences who had come to rely on Chris's voice of reason, humor, and accountability realized that the networks they trusted to present authentic stories might have been engaging in practices designed to maximize profit at the expense of those who created the content. And it was in this climate that Chris made the difficult decision to take legal action, filing a lawsuit against TLC that alleged the network had constructed contracts that disproportionately favored the company while binding cast members to conditions that limited their financial freedom and ability to negotiate fair compensation, highlighting what he believed to be a systemic issue affecting not just him, but many other reality television participants who had long been expected to submit to the demands of the industry without complaint. And the lawsuit, which was both principled and personal, aimed not only to recover the remuneration he believed was owed, but also to set a precedent that could empower other stars facing similar situations. And while many fans initially held out hope that TLC might negotiate a confidential settlement to avoid the glare of public scrutiny and the negative PR associated with the case, the network instead mounted a vigorous defense, asserting that Chris's claims were without merit, that the terms of his contract had been transparent from the outset, and that he had willingly agreed to the conditions that he now challenged. And when the court ultimately sided with TLC, dismissing the lawsuit entirely, it marked a severe setback for Chris, both financially and emotionally, as the legal defeat seemed to validate the very system he had sought to challenge and underscored the difficulties that reality stars face when confronting networks with entrenched power structures. Yet even this legal conclusion did not bring closure, as TLC quickly moved to sever ties with Chris, terminating his contract and ensuring his absence from Season 8, a decision that fans perceived as retaliatory and which ignited an immediate wave of outrage across social media platforms, with viewers expressing disbelief, anger, and profound disappointment, arguing that Chris's dismissal represented not just a business decision, but an ethical failure on the part of a network that had benefited enormously from his dedication, consistency, and ability to humanize a show otherwise dominated by sensationalism and drama. And this public response was widespread and fervent, with fans creating trending hashtags, sharing video montages of his most memorable moments, and actively discussing the implications of his removal on the future of the series, framing Chris as a champion of authenticity whose absence left a gaping void, as he had long functioned not only as a mediator within the family, but also as the moral and emotional center that allowed viewers to connect with the show on a deeper level. Recognizing that his contributions went beyond mere entertainment to provide insights into family dynamics, resilience, and the challenges of health, personal growth, and responsibility. And in examining the larger ramifications of his conflict with TLC, industry observers noted that his experience reflected broader issues endemic to reality television, where contractual opacity, unequal power dynamics, and a focus on ratings and profitability often place cast members in vulnerable positions, subjecting them to intense scrutiny, long hours, and emotional strain without commensurate reward. And Chris's case, while specific to his circumstances, became emblematic of the struggles faced by countless reality stars who, despite being central to a show's appeal, remain constrained by legal and corporate frameworks that prioritize network interests over fairness. transparency, and the well-being of the individuals whose lives are broadcast for entertainment. And the narrative surrounding his lawsuit, termination, and the fan backlash also shed light on the unique position of reality television audiences in shaping the fortunes of a series, as public sentiment, social media activism, and the collective response of a dedicated fanbase demonstrated a power that could challenge network decisions, influence reputational considerations, and amplify discussions about ethics, labor rights, and the human cost of entertainment. And within this context, Chris's role in the series was understood not merely in terms of screen time or plot function, but as a conduit for emotional engagement, a voice of reason amidst the spectacle, and a symbol of integrity, whose absence raised fundamental questions about the show's capacity to maintain cohesion, emotional resonance, and narrative balance. And the implications extended beyond 1000 LB Sisters, prompting dialogue about the treatment of reality stars across other programming on TLC and similar networks, where stories, personalities, and personal struggles are commoditized, yet often at the expense of those who inhabit them. And as fans debated the ethics of such practices, many expressed concern about the long-term viability of the series, questioning whether it could sustain its appeal without the stabilizing presence of Chris, while others speculated on how TLC might attempt to fill the void through new cast members, increased drama, or narrative restructuring. Yet few believed that any replacement could replicate the unique blend of humor, accountability, and relatability that he provided, and the story also touched on deeper societal questions regarding the consumption of reality television, the expectations placed on public figures, and the ways in which audience loyalty, corporate control, and individual agency intersect in shaping both the content we consume and the experiences of those who create it, highlighting the tensions between spectacle and authenticity, commercial success and ethical responsibility, and the human cost of narratives that entertain millions while exploiting the very individuals whose lives are central to those stories. And in considering the personal dimension, Chris's battle was not simply about money or fame, but about dignity, fairness, and the principle that those who contribute meaningfully to a project should be respected, valued, and heard. And this perspective resonated with fans who had long admired him for his consistency, support of his family, and ability to navigate the complexities of a high-drama environment with empathy and intelligence. And the outpouring of public support reflected a recognition that his contributions had been essential to the series' identity, and that his removal represented a loss that was both narrative and moral, challenging viewers to reconsider their relationship with the show and the network that produced it. While the ongoing discourse also illuminated the ways in which reality television operates as a microcosm of larger societal dynamics, where power, loyalty, advocacy, and audience engagement intersect, revealing the pressures, rewards, and consequences inherent in lives lived partially in public. And as the dialogue continued across social media,